I'm Starr, and I read books. Today I'm going to talk about Dean Koontz's book, Intensity. This was a hard read for me. There were sections of this book that were clearly very well written, very exciting, thrilling, scary, had you on the edge of your seat. You needed to know what happened. I mean, the book opens with a family annihilation and a serial killer within like the first 50 pages, and an intense scene with a girl hiding under a bed from the killer. It's intense. Probably why it's called Intensity. It's called Intensity because the serial killer in the book is a narcissistic jackass who thinks that he sees and feels the world and experiences everything differently than everyone else. He feels like he experiences everything with intensity, and Koontz put that in italics, lest we forget the name of the book is Intensity, and the killer has a way of experiencing life differently from everyone else with intensity. It got kind of redundant. I didn't like the main character, the serial killer, and you're not supposed to, okay? But there are characters in books that are there for you to not like, that can be really great characters that are fun to not like. There are so many villains in books that I love to hate. I love to hate them. They're well-written bad guys and they're there for a reason. This antagonist was just annoying and kind of whiny. Like, we get it. You hear things different. You feel things different. We get it. You're intense and you're better than everybody. He felt very pompous, which brings me to Dean Koontz's writing style. He can tell a good story. He has very good ideas for plot lines and bad guys. He writes really good heroes. I like his family dynamics too when he writes about families. It's just that sometimes he's a little pretentious. It feels like sometimes he has to throw out every $5 word he knows, as if he's writing a research paper for an Ivy League college. And it's like, come on, dude, you're just writing a book to entertain people. You don't have to use those words all the time because sometimes they take you out of the story. If you're reading about someone, say, with a hangover, and a normal author would say they were vomiting or throwing up, you're still in the story. You're feeling what that character's feeling. Dean Koontz would say they had an attack of emesis. Well, if you're not in the medical field, chances are you're going to have to stop and go look that word up, or just kind of skip over it in your mind and take it from the context that maybe the person's throwing up. But I just sometimes feel like Dean Koontz can be a little pretentious and show-offy about his words and his brain. Like, do you really have like a thesaurus next to you when you're writing to pull out all those big words? But I do like most of his books. It's just sometimes they can drag. And not in the way a slow burn or a book with a lot of character development can sometimes drag. It drags because it drags. There was a 50-page scene in Intensity that did not need to be there when our hero was trying to escape a certain situation. Instead of just describing how she escaped, we also had to hear her thoughts about all the different options she had and the possible outcomes if she took all these separate steps or did these different choices. I don't want to hear about all the different choices she has and all the different possibilities that could happen because they took me out of the story. I just wanted to see how she actually got out of the predicament she was in. I'm trying not to give you spoilers. But the overall book itself was good. There were definite 4-star parts in this book. The opening was amazing. When the villain was not waxing philosophically about how he's so much better than the rest of the world and how he's so intense. He actually was a good villain. I did like the twist at the end. I liked most of the story. There were distinct parts of this book that were 4 stars, and there were distinct parts of this book that were 2 stars, maybe even bordering on 1, because I really felt like I wanted to DNF at times. Overall, I'm glad I finished the book. It was good. It was one of those rare Dean Koontz books I haven't read somehow in my lifetime. I've read most of his books. I have a lot of his books. I do like him as an author. Some of his books are better than others, and this is just one that is not that great. So my final rating on the book, I averaged it out. Since I felt like the book wavered and went back and forth like a seesaw, from a 2-star to a 4-star, I gave it 3 stars. it did entertain me. There were parts of it that were so boring, though. I probably would have rather been doing dishes and listening to an audiobook. And I don't like audiobooks. And I don't like doing dishes. But yes, 3 out of 5 stars. Dean Koontz's intensity.